So yeah, I get to see Aarth play hacker build. So yeah, actually, it's more accurate to call this a hacker melting point build. He'll run this off of getting a crawler start usually. Yeah, he has speed specialist. Speed specialist is very good. Um, the hacker build requires a bit more supply gain. I've seen it. He'll even run rapid resupply in order to get the units he wants. In this case, the skill ball is a way of getting into the center very fast, and if he manages to break in, then he can deny resources from other players. It's kind of the craziest gambit, and I don't know why he. Oh, I wouldn't have the tolerance for this, but he does. but yeah, it's a bit much, but it works. Again, like his other builds, it's a very stable build. He'll almost always win it. And again, he really aggressively presses rapid resupply. He wants as much tempo as possible at the very early part of the game. As much deny as much resources to gain as much resources as possible. If this extended range means smart marksman, it's kind of understandable why he skipped. There's probably nothing for him. Farser, he'll pick this up. He'll probably end up selling this later. It's not integral. Um, the big thing is a certain number of Mustangs, around 3 or 4 of them. And then up to 2 steel balls. He might keep the tarantulas. He'll probably sell those eventually. And this Barcia is just a early power. Yeah, he already got rid of one of the tarantulas. He's lining up the Farseer for the tarantula kill. And that's pretty normal. He still uses positioning. And then you'll notice this gap here. It's a giant gap. So you can fit, well, you can fit a melting point here and here and then probably one here. And this area here, likely what's going to be put there is a hacker. Um, I forget if it's round 2 and 3 or 3 and 4. The first hacker offer it gives you 2 hackers for 100, and then the second hacker option gives you 3 hackers for 200. Um, plus the round cost. So here Arth is probably hoping for hacker. There's a reasonable chance he gets it, but if not, he also gets a melting point. So yeah, so the melting points go down. He can probably sell or move Farseer over. He force buys the hacker. Yeah, so he's going to move this Farseer. Probably. No? Interesting. I guess he already has the lock on with the steel ball, so he doesn't need to. Uh, you'll see with this build, it's you'll see him line up the hacker with the melting point. That means that when he does that, it's still both the melting point and hacker lock onto the same target. And so if it's a big unit, it's pretty much guaranteed to get stolen instead of the melting point killing it. It's a hyper synergy. This is something you can learn to do in any game. Is this hacker melting point line, and it'll go up to well, he'll go up to a lot of different. He'll add a lot of hackers normally. And in early rounds, melting points are actually pretty potent, especially when they come out of the AI wave with a lot of health still. I think the one weakness in this build is maybe if someone goes mass void eye, it can struggle. But yeah, this build can even overwhelm the classic War Factory Zoo spam build. It will win. He is a bit of a fan of selling stuff. And normally, in most games, it would normally be not great to sell stuff, but because you have hacker, you tend to keep a lot more of your units alive, and then it doesn't matter as much. These I always consider hackers a tank unit, especially once you get uh, enhanced control. Once these hackers manage to lock onto large units, yeah, it repurposes them. The AI becomes fodder for Art's build. It's quite spectacular seeing stuff getting hacked. Well, I think it was a little unlucky with the hacks there, but see, he could have got a few melting points. But you'll see, yeah, he's out of this already, and the enemies are still fighting their wave. And then Yeah, he'll get that melting point. Uh, the worst thing you can do as an opponent when you're facing this build is to put down ground units, large ground units. Except for maybe these fortresses. But these fortresses don't have Fang spawn, so they're actually not as much of a problem. But yeah, when you have ground units out, they get hacked, especially if you level them. I think this guy provided this really nice melting point to Aarth. It's kind of whiplash seeing Aarth run this build versus his marksman build. This build is very supply hungry. Yeah, some Mustang production line, and yeah, I mean even seeing the specialist on this build is like is really amazing in a way. Again, it's Arth almost never hits speed when running the marksman build, but with the hacker build, it's he wants it in order to get more supply. Yeah, he might buy another melting point here. It would be helpful. Range enhancement isn't strictly necessary. He could go barrier as well. You'll note that he doesn't have multi-hack. Uh, Almost no one runs multi-hack. He will end up picking up barrier eventually, though. Maybe he moved the Farseer back because what happens with the Farseer is that it can actually kill units, and what Arth wants to do is take over the units rather than kill them. You'll notice that most of the units he picks up are units that do not do high burst damage. The only unit on his board that has burst damage right now is the Farseer. Advanced power system is great for Arth. He skips because again, I think he's probably going to go more another melting point, maybe this round instead. Picks armor. Yeah, I can see why. Our armor is pretty good into those board. I might do the same. You can probably sell off this Typhoon. Yeah, the Mustangs will hang out behind the melting points. Yeah, he sells off the Typhoon, gets another melting point. Maybe if he can get another melting point, how much money does he have? He does have enough money to get one more melting point. Yeah, so he does that. I'm not sure why he's keeping the. Well, it's probably better than the Typhoon, to be honest. The Typhoon was in the way, and he needed to reposition one of his melting points. These melting points will tank all of this as long as he gets rid of the hackers. Okay, that's why he kept the Farseer. Yeah. Like his other build, he likes to keep these kind of back flanking groups, and Farseer is one of the best flanking units. It has access to the missile interceptor, and so even if they run missiles or put down missile, they you can do the flank, and you'll see whenever there's a ground boss, there's a high risk that Earth manages to take it over, especially with his the insane amount of movement speed. He just will manage to pounce on it. The only thing that could be a bit of a problem later is if he runs into this same boss later. It has fire, and that can be a bit of a problem. So yeah, I think this is relatively new that Arth runs this, but Raiden's really good because you can pick ionization, and it's essentially the same as a melting point. Um, it doesn't tend to kill things, so the hacker, if the hacker locks onto the same thing as the Raiden hit, the hacker will take it. I think this is I'd been wondering why Arth wasn't running this more, but it seems like he did settle on it as well. I had a bit of a theory craft on how to improve this composition, and one of them was yeah, these Raidens. You know, it does look like he already won this, which is kind of insane. And because this line wins, he can afford to do flanks even when the boss is coming out of it. I always note that Arth really likes the attack enhancement 2 over defense enhancement. I think that might be correct because how do I put this? Attack enhancement, uh, defense enhancement is only good when your units are getting hit, and attack enhancement is, well, if they aren't getting hit, then obviously attack enhancement's always going to be better. See, he stole the bosses again, and he just ran everything over. Even stealing this melting point. And yeah, the you get a quarter. Uh, you get a quarter of the value off the stuff you steal. So like, getting these extra melting points, Falcon or Fortress. If someone's placing this stuff down, it's really it improves this build. It's really it feels almost counter. Well, it's not counterintuitive. It's his build ends up scaling on other players' giant ground giants because of the interaction between melting point and hacker and well, even Mustang is pretty good at helping to whittle down giants. Um, And then that's not even counting the radiance. This Braden drop is really was really nice. It's one of the reasons why he won so quickly. Having 8 giants on the board, potentially stealing 4 more somewhere, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. You don't even need to get hacker levels really. You can get maybe 1 hacker leveled up, but if he was continuing this, he'd probably end up playing more, placing a melting point in kind of this area, these areas here, and then a hacker here somewhere. Same over here. You'll see, again, this was kind of the flanking groups I've been liking to play. He'll grab some air and ground units and then send them. Um, I think I think Farseer is one of the best for that. Although Phantom Rays are also pretty good too. You can pick up Stealth Cloak. He sold one of his Phantom Rays. Yeah, he didn't need it. He only needs 2 Phantom Rays. These go long flank. They go back here and then hit the tower without anything blocking them. As for how the other players deal with it, not very well. These ground giants again, they just fed into the hackers. The Vulcans didn't have range enhancement, so they probably died. Typhoon, these Typhoon bosses are they're they're probably the easiest boss to deal with, but they also provide a lot of jab, and that's probably another reason why Aarth was able to win that. Um, it's not a good boss. It's not a strong boss, but it's also a very good supportive boss for for Earth. So it creates so much stuff. Scorpions and Mustangs and stuff. I think his build might have a little bit of a problem with fortresses, but only if it's mass fortress with um, the chaff stream and range. Anyway, I'm always surprised by this build because I find that his marksman build I mean he ran his marksman build for like much longer than this build, but I find his marksman build almost perfection. And this build is rather than perfection, it's almost like a power gambit where he stacked the deck in his favor. It's very interesting how different his builds are. His 2 builds are. I hope you learned something, and yeah, maybe see you next video.